our whole thing is that there's infinite amount of possibilities and infinite amount of deals. So don't let one totally drag you down. And I think agents struggle with that.
Hello and welcome to episode 81 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we're joined by Daniel Martinez, CEO of Hivemind. Along with running Hivemind, an automation software designed to help you with every single aspect of your real estate business, Daniel is a real estate investor himself. Throughout our conversation, we talk all about how he creatively secures new real estate deals and what Hivemind can do for your business. Now, before we get on to today's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to today's featured interview with Daniel Martinez. You can hear more of his content on his Hive With Us podcast. I've included a link in the episode description. All right, well, really the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself, where you're at in the country and kind of how you got your start in the real estate industry.
Sure. So my name is Daniel Martinez. I'm the CEO of Hivemind. I own a software company, a data company. We also do real estate. We're starting a bunch of other companies right now in the works, but stuff coming out soon. We have a podcast. I'm currently out of LA. I grew up outside Chicago real quick, moved to Atlanta. I got into real estate out of necessity because I started, my first business was trucking at the time. So started trucking, literally spinning my wheels, not making any money. And then I was listening to podcasts. So I'm a product of podcasting. That's a note, which is why I love podcasting now. But I'm a product of podcasting. So I was listening to a lot of podcasts when I was driving. And then I learned about real estate, started wholesaling, and then started doing investor stuff. So we do a lot of creative strategies in real estate. We started a software company and we do the data company now, all around real estate stuff, real estate niches.
Awesome. That's awesome that, just happened to be driving around and was listening to a podcast and totally changed the trajectory of what you're doing.
100%. A lot of people, it's hard to, the one thing that prevents people getting real estate is the knowledge, is like the biggest capacity. A lot of people think you need the money. Once you understand the knowledge and you can understand what you're doing, the money will find you, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So as long as you have the time for it and the knowledge, you're good to go. Yeah.
Definitely. I want to touch on Hivemind here in just a second, but you really kind of piqued my interest when talking about, how these creative tools and these things that you're doing in your real estate business. I want to hear about a little bit about some of the creative things that you're doing with your real estate business.
So we generally look at creative strategies, like subject to owner finance, stuff like that, whenever we look at deals, just because we're broke and we got to make opportunity out of nothing. So we do a lot of just creative stuff. So we'll do a lot of flips and houses and stuff like that, but we generally focus on land because land, people own it, doesn't cash flow. And it's usually a burden because it has to pay taxes every year. So there's literally they're losing money every year they hold it. So we like focusing on land because they're willing to give us large discounts. And then from there, the flip side of it is that banks won't lend on it because it's vacant land. So that gives us opportunity that we can get it so cheap, we could become the bank and create opportunity for end buyers by becoming the bank, by owner financing it to end buyers.
A lot of our listeners are real estate agents themselves. And so
Sure.
Are you looking, when you're doing these deals, how are you finding the land to begin with? And then what kind of, any partnerships you're creating with agents?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So we love agents. We love working with agents because sometimes agents come across properties that they just can't sell for whatever reason. It might not be the right price point. It might not be at the right time or the right location. So we work with a lot of agents as far as properties they can't sell. So they'll send us properties. We might, if the seller's willing to owner finance us with a down payment, we'll take that property all day long. So we just bought 100 acres in San Antonio, and that's what we did. It wasn't listed, but it was something like that where we gave the seller their asking price, and we give them a large down payment, and they want to finance us with a balloon. So we create a lot of opportunities to make the seller happy and get the price they really want, and not necessarily because not everybody needs the money. That's rule number one of real estate. Not everybody needs the money. They usually want their price, and as long as we can create a win-win scenario, we usually come out on top. As far as how we find the land deals, part of my data business that we have, I have a large database of nationwide leads that we just bulk text using our software Hivemind to connect with just property owners directly. So on the investor side, we usually go direct to seller without agents involved, just because we're trying to find opportunity for a real estate transaction to be done. Not necessarily because people, 90% of the transactions are done with agents, but there's that 10% that they need to sell for whatever reason. It might be their house is destroyed, burned, tenant issues, tenant squatted or squatter, stuff like that. A lot of issues come up, and it's really hard to sell a property like that listed on the MLS just because there's too many issues. Airships, chain of title, what's the other word? Partial interest in properties. Like all those difficult stuff, that's the stuff that's our realm. We like playing in that space. So if you come across difficult properties, difficult situations, that's where we excel in. So that's where we come in on the agent side of like, hey, I have this difficult situation. I cannot sell it because there's 20 errors. That's where we come in.
What was it that made you want to get into those more difficult land deals and property deals? Because they can be a bit of a headache.
That's the point. That's the goal. So where it's hard, that's where the most profit is. Yeah. So where everything's easy, you got more slack and more pressure to fight against. So the harder things you do, the easier and more money you can make at doing those type of deals.
Yeah, definitely. I'd imagine the competition is a lot less.
Oh yeah, way less. Way less. So we get leads thrown us out all the time just because of what we do, that not everybody knows or understands the capacity of what we operate in. So like, hey, here's this lead. I don't even know what to do with it. Go see what you can make out of it. And that's what we do.
Right. So what's the name of your investor group, if you don't mind me asking?
We have a bunch of LLCs. So you just got to message us. We got multiple LLCs. We have holding companies. We have investment companies. You can just send it to us in some way. We'll probably put it in the bio or something. But we got tons of companies.
Yeah. So when you are, and I think it's just so. How long have you been doing, into the investment properties and really kind of getting into this?
I've been doing this for 3 years. So my partner just did a video how we got a 2,000% return on a deal that we found driving for dollars, just the property we passed by. I sent him a postcard and we got under contract, and we do a lot of that stuff. So we do direct to seller marketing through postcards, texts, direct mail, cold calling, referrals like through agents or attorneys, a lot of stuff like that. Title companies, we get a lot of influx from every direction.
Right. When you're working, when you are, you said you have the partners with the attorneys and all these different partnerships that you're creating. I'd imagine just, by the way that you guys are able to overcome these headaches and get deals done, I'd imagine that really helps you set up for that next deal that may come down the pipeline.
Oh yeah, I mean, the whole thing is keeping the pipeline full because not every deal is going to close. It might not be at the right price point. The seller may back out, buyer may back out, whatever that is, and we're always just trying to keep our pipeline full. So our whole thing is that there's infinite amount of possibilities and infinite amount of deals. So don't let one totally drag you down. And I think agents struggle with that. Is they get a couple parts in the contract and one will slip through whatever and never sells, and they're devastated and like, no, I'll never get another deal again, And the truth is that there are limitless possibilities.
Right. And, with you talking about the, going after those difficult deals, I know a lot of agents, sometimes they don't want to deal with that. They just want the piece of cake, and they might have a certain price point that they only work in, but they're passing up all that other business. And you might get that $1 million listing, but if you can get 12 $200,000 listings, you're making a whole lot more money than that one.
So I'll give you guys a tip. Work with investors because investors pay more. So whenever we're selling property, we usually give instead of 3%, we'll give you 4%. So investors are usually willing to pay more in most cases. So if you become an investor-friendly agent and you put yourself as such, limitless possibilities, because investors are always coming across deals, always coming across opportunity. I literally, one of my mentors, he said he Googled an agent near me. He called, everybody's paying for Google ads. He called every single one of them. It took him 17 calls down the Google that people are paying for ads for somebody to answer the phone.
Wasting money there. Yeah.
It's a problem. So, yeah. And he was literally giving them a listing. He had like $1.5 million deal that he was giving them a listing. He just wanted somebody to answer the phone and see. And he was an investor. Like, I'm sure he had agents to call, but he wanted to almost like make an example of like, hey, you're missing opportunity by not answering the phone. You need to answer the phone.
Right. So that's definitely tip number one, answer the phone. What are some of the other things that you were looking for when you are looking to create a partnership with an agent? What are some of the things that they can do to reach out to you?
There's not millions, there's probably thousands of Facebook groups. Facebook groups is where the magic happens, I would say, because there's a lot of, if you enjoyed, there's investor groups there. You can search REOs, investor. I'm sure there's a bunch of agent groups on that side as well, but there's tons and tons of investor groups that you can just join, just see what's going on and see where you can participate in, because there's a lot of transactions going on that side that you don't even know about.
When it comes to, the REOs and all that, and some of the things that you might be doing as an investor, how have you seen things kind of ebb and flow through COVID? Because as with foreclosures and things kind of taking a backseat for a while, are you starting to see any of that start to crank up again? Are we still? I know a lot of times it takes a bit of time to really get going.
100%. That is definitely picking up. There's definitely a large number of those coming down the line. The issue is that most of those sellers, because we're talking to them, I literally just talked to my partner who's targeting pre-foreclosures, and he told me like a lot of these people, they think there's the magical white horse that's going to save them, and it might happen. It might happen, but there's a lot of stuff that people go through. So like when we target pre-foreclosures, like we don't want them to go pre-foreclosure, because once they go through once they go through pre-foreclosure, it can ruin their credit for 7 to 10 years. So we try and prevent them from going to pre-foreclosure. We might pay off the loan. We might pay off the loan balance as long as we get the title for it, and we'll save them from going through that hardship, where they can actually buy again whenever they get corrected and stabilized again. Whereas if they don't, they're going to get that hard foreclosure, and now they're stuck and they can't buy property again. So we really try and help. That's one of the things as investors, we really try and help as many people as we can. We know we can't help everybody, but we try and position ourselves like we can help you not go through this if you understand what position you're in.
I think that's really important. I think that just helps, that repeat business down the road, because it gives you guys a good reputation.
Yeah, because we can buy properties with no equity, as long as little to no equity, we can buy those. We can still buy those deals because we do creative strategies. So there's still a lot of opportunity for out there. And like listings, here's another one: agents that might not be able to sell a property because there's no equity to sell, which means they won't get paid. An investor might buy that deal because we do Airbnbs. We might do short-term rentals. We might do nurse. There's one of my friends. He does short-term rentals, but not even on Airbnb. He has like 80 units that he works with, but he doesn't even put them on Airbnb anymore. He has contracts with local vendors that travel nurses and travel doctors. He works with them directly, and he's trying to get a contract with airlines too. So airline pilots and airline. What's the word? The
flight attendant. Yeah.
Flight attendant, stewards, whatever. All those people. He's trying to get a contract with them because the hotels that they go to are usually packed. They bunk them all up into 4 in a room, 5 in a room. So they're actually trying to find more Airbnb houses like that they can work with directly.
I think that's really smart. I haven't thought about that before, but man, you especially, you have your experience in like Atlanta or Dallas. I mean, you make a killing doing that.
Oh yeah. For sure. Every major city, Dallas, Chicago, Memphis, Chattanooga, like you're gonna get it in all the major cities. Austin,
Yeah.
Opportunity.
Yeah, that's super smart. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk to you about Hivemind. What is that? Tell me a little bit about what you guys got going on there.
So Hivemind is a automation software. So a lot of services out there, they're and everybody that does outbound marketing, especially agents, brokers, all that stuff, they all do every marketing. And the problem is that there's all these systems. So you might have a texting system, you might have a dialer system, you might have an email system, you might have a different websites, you might have WordPress, Squarespace, or all these different providers. What Hivemind does is it puts it all in one space so you can actually keep track and coordinate your leads to do a more effective marketing. So you can actually text, call, we have a dialer, you can RVM, you can integrate with direct mail companies. We have websites, unlimited users. Whereas most CRMs, they tax you per user. This, you can literally have unlimited users. You can create squeeze pages on web pages to collect sellers' information. You can do we have an internal phone system, so you can dial out, but it's more than that, where you can set up automations with bandit signs or billboards or even TV or radio or anything like that. You can have people text your number if they want to sell their house, stuff like that. You can do a lot of creative strategies just using one system and create automation behind it, where you're not actually having to do it. It's just automation. You filter people through automation and nurture them through automation as well.
Right. Yeah. So what was it? I mean, what were the, obviously, the pain point of having, so many different systems that you have to use. And I imagine that was probably your main pain point you're trying to solve. But what are some of the other things that you're trying to solve with Hivemind?
Follow-up. Everybody struggles with follow-up. This can automate your follow-up, where you can hit people whatever meter you want based on how hot they are. You can you can send voice, video messages, and like BCF cards. So like we use Hivemind to nurture our own clients. So like when people sign up, they get a video from me. It's a video from me welcoming them to Hivemind. We send them our contact card so they can do a one-click save to save our number. So you can really nurture those leads so that it feels real, but you can hop in and be real as well. So like people are like, is this automation? I'm like, no, it's not. This is not a robot. You can mess with people. So people can actually get that personalized feeling, but it's really not. It's automation.
Yeah. And I think, having that, it's almost that like hybrid kind of feeling of things. I think it's really smart. And I like the way that the industry is kind of going with that, because while you are using this technology to really kind of take care of a whole lot of the more mundane tasks for you, it's almost freeing you up to be more personal with those really hot leads.
100%. And like everybody's like, most brokers tell agents, you need to call 100 people a day. You're going to get all these things on like, and my thing is like, our whole thing is if you audit, everybody preaches delegation or dials and all this stuff. I'm like, no, if you can automate that whole process and talk to motivated sellers, you're going to convert more leads just because you're not actually prospecting yourself. You can use automation to prospect for you, and all you're doing is closing.
Yeah. What what's been the reaction to your clients, and even the people that are being reached out to via Hivemind?
Oh, 20 people these days, they like being texted to. So we've done deals just via texting 100% or email, because they like being conversed now. Times have changed where like 20, 30 years ago, people wanted to be called. They're like, oh, let's talk. People are converting via text 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
yeah. And I mean, honestly, and, from the agent perspective too, not only are you getting the, you're taking care of those tasks, but you're not getting beaten down, making those cold calls and being yelled at. I think people's stress levels got to be coming down too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about it is that like us, I don't do any of my own marketing. We hire, position, and use systems to do our marketing for us, where we're not actually getting beaten down over the phone.
Yeah. What, this is one of those industries that's constantly updating and improving. So what, we're in March right now of 2022. What's, the rest of the year kind of looking like for you guys? What are those next boundaries you're wanting to push?
Man, we already got this. Every year it snowballs, man. We're doing crazy stuff. We locked up 1,000-acre property in January. We locked up 300 acres in February. And then we actually just got a 5,000 square foot office creatively that was actually listed, that the agent couldn't sell it for whatever reason. It still need a lot of repairs. And we got it creatively just mid-February. 5,000 square foot office in San Antonio. So we're doing it's a big year for us already, and it's only March.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's pretty incredible. You said you were in the trucking industry. It wasn't going all that great. You happened to listen to a podcast, and it totally changed the trajectory of your life.
Well, that's one of the big things why I love podcasting and why I get back through podcasting, because I'm a product of it. So I have my own podcast, the Hive Podcast Network. It's more towards investors and entrepreneurship, but it's just one of those things where like I feel like it's a duty to give back. So I'm always trying to get back to the community because I'm a product of it. I love it.
Yeah. So, before wrapping up, definitely want to ask you, so you've been in it for 3 years, you've been, in these deals. What's that like one thing that you maybe wish you could go back and tell yourself 3 years ago that would make things just a little bit easier?
Learn all you can. You only need a certain amount of threshold of knowledge to do your first deal. Once you understand that and do that, you can, the sky's the limit. You can open a lot of doors from there. It took me 7 months personally to do my first deal. And I was still working my trucking company at the time where I started my trucking company. So it was still kind of crazy, but there's a lot of opportunity out there that you think you can't do, but it's usually just knowledge up here that's stopping you from doing it. So once you understand and learn that information, it kind of opens up the possibilities of you doing whatever you want at that point. And real estate is the key to everything. A lot of people hate what they're doing, but real estate's an opportunity to make a lot of money, and you can actually pivot into whatever you want to do that you actually love.
Really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, and I can't wait to see what you guys have, going on in the next year or so.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy year. I'm excited. We had a software. We had one of our clients. He worked with us about 6 months. He did like $300K in revenue just off our software. We'll make our first millionaire this year. We had 4 users have 6-figure months last year. So we're really excited to see what our user base, not even just us, our user base has using our software. So it's kind of interesting to see and kind of cool to see what people are doing and how they're doing it.
Where can people find Hivemind?
HivemindCRM.io. We have a free Facebook group. Just search Hivemind CRM. You can also text us at 210-972-1842. Just text the keyword Hive. We do weekly calls covering real estate, education, sales, all the good stuff. And we try and help the community as much as we can. We love working with agents. So if you have any deals, you can let us know what market we're in. We're doing a lot of deals in Texas right now, but we're branching out nationwide this year. So we're looking to work with more agents nationwide.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
No problem, man. I appreciate you.
I really want to thank Daniel for joining us today and wish him great success in both the real estate investing and everything he has going on with Hivemind. Remember, you can check out more from Daniel on the Hive With Us podcast. I've included a link in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an awesome story or a tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.